Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel, which is called Energy Matters, and where we discuss all sorts of things about energy, manifestation, magic, and soul stuff. And today I wanted to talk to you about dreams, but specifically dreams as a way, as a communication channel between our three selves. And so to unpack that, I have to first sort of tell you how I think we as souls operate on this plane. And so I sort of feel that I have three distinct selves with which I am working all of the time. The first one is my normal self. This is me. I walk around my life, I interact with people, I make decisions, I have a mind, my mind informs me, and my normal self is composed of these three things: my mind, my body, soul. And it's a very conscious, it's what I'm aware of in the moment. And a lot of people are living their lives just from this very limited self place. Then we have our higher self, or our soul self. And part of our expansion journey, I believe, is to become more in touch with that soul self, the bigger plan for our life, our soul purpose, our soul gifts. And the way we can sort of tap into that is a lot with meditation, sometimes journaling. We have these downloads, these intuitions, that so our soul self is talking to us, as well as our sort of spiritual guidance team is talking to us the whole time, but it's often very subtle energy, and you have to really start paying attention and listen to the clues and look at sometimes the world around us communicates with us on that level. And so divination also works in terms of putting us in touch with that aspect of us. And so we have to get really quiet and open and listen to what is trying to come through. So that is how we communicate and get into alignment with our soul self. And I think part of where we're going wrong is that we're not in alignment. Our three selves are not in alignment. But the harder one for me to actually access and be in touch with and align and really work with is what I call my organism. And the organism is much more than just, it's not really even your body. It's almost like your emotional body in a way. And I find that the organism, it's almost like that little part of your brain that is almost like the reptilian brain that they say is at the back here of your brain, which is very much concerned with, survival, fight, flight, emotional stimuli, and emotional stuff going on. And there's this poem, I can't remember by who, beautiful poem, that speaks about this sort of soft, warm animal of your body. That sort of thing. It's your animal body. It's a very instinctual, wild thing. There's no mind there. And a lot of the stuff, and it's also, a lot of the stuff that's happening in your subconscious, it's almost like that subconscious world where we're not aware of really all that is happening there. It's your subconscious programming, your habits. So all of that sort of, for me, encompasses what I call the organism. And the organism, my organism, is very much concerned just with what is happening emotionally in her landscape. That is all. So she doesn't really care about rational explanations, and she's not necessarily even in touch with that higher aspect or guidance. It's just this feeling part of me. And I've found that since I've started working actively with my dreams, that dreams are a fantastic way to access the organism. A lot of us, it's like, you remember the movie The Trueman-show, where Jim Carrey is this character and he's you've got all these characters walking around, and actually the whole thing is like a dome, which is a studio, and there's all these cameras, and actually he finds in the end that he's in a reality TV show, and that all of this stuff is scripted, and all of the people in his life are characters. um, when our dreams are, I believe, almost like a little window into our own organism's little Truman-show. And so we replay, or we work with stuff that's happening in our day at night, and we create scenes and stuff without rational logic mind stuff on there to work through some of the emotions that's come up for us during our day. And it's such a valuable tool to be able to tap into what the organism is feeling. So, for instance, last night I had a dream, and I find that a lot of my organism dreams, there are different types of dreams. I'll get into that at the end, but a lot of my organism type dreams, where I'm working with this emotional stuff that's happening in my life, have the same cast of characters, and it's often my family. And so in this dream, there was this trigger moment where I was being blamed for something that wasn't really my fault, although it was sort of. But my reaction to this event or this thing was really out of proportion. So, me in the dream sort of started slamming doors and screaming and shouting, and really the message, which wasn't really in tune with what had happened, but what my organism, because it was my organism, was saying, is that I don't feel seen. You're not caring about what I'm going through. You only caring about your own stuff and other people's stuff that you're busy with. You're over there. I don't feel supported. I don't feel seen. I don't feel validated in terms of what I'm actually going through, which is difficult. And so my organism just threw a tantrum and, slammed doors and packed her bags and had this minor meltdown in terms of this pure wild emotion of not being paid attention to. And the other characters in this story are not the real characters or people in my life. They're aspects of me. They're sort of like my mind and my other stuff that's not paying attention to this emotional process that's happening, to the organism within me that is freaking out slightly about certain stressors in her life, but is not feeling, she's not being validated, she's not being heard. And so in my dream, she just threw this tantrum way over the top, way beyond what the situation called for. It was just this outburst of emotion. And so as I woke up this morning, my first thought was, oh wow, my organism is really stressed, and I didn't realize how stressed she was, and how unheard, unseen, not unappreciated, but almost ignored she was feeling amidst all of this other stuff that was happening. And so, for instance, some of the other dreams that I've had recently, in one, I was on this hillside, we were busy with stuff, flying drones or whatever, and then suddenly I look over, and on the horizon there's this volcano that's just erupting, and the lava is actually, starting to splatter all about. And so if that is my little Truman-show landscape, it doesn't mean that there's a physical volcano there, but there's an emotional volcano somewhere in my life that I need to pay attention to, because the fallout from that is starting to affect my organism. And the other day I had a dream about driving in a car, and suddenly there's this meteor, this giant ball of fire that just hits part of the city of my hometown. And I'm driving and I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it and witnessing this, and then driving past and seeing all these buildings on fire, etc. And so if that's my little Truman-show, then I know that there's parts of my little inner landscape that I know are being impacted by massive change and transformation, purification even. So I know this because I pay attention to my dreams, and I sort of look in on my little organism and see, okay, how is she feeling? What is she doing? Etc. And I think this is so, so important. So the people that populate these sort of dreams that's related to our organism is almost like, in a game you have these characters that they're just there to come and give you a message. They're not real characters in the game. We call them non-player characters, NPCs. And so your dreams are populated with all of these NPCs, especially these ones where you're just trying to get back your emotional balance and working with the emotions that your organism is feeling. Um, and so what we often get confused by is that we have these NPCs that show up in our dreams, but they're acting in a different way than they're really acting in real life, or you can't really imagine why you're suddenly dreaming about this colleague or that person that you saw on the street or this person that you saw on TV or in a movie even. But it's just your subconscious populating these NPCs into your dream to fill a role. And all of these are actually aspects of yourself. So within that little world, all of the interactions are actually parts of yourself interacting with each other. And it's such a beautiful and wonderful way to start exploring your dreams and looking at this little Trueman-show that you have within you and that you are working with every single night, because you have probably 4 to 5 dreams every night. And so working with starting to pay attention to that, going to bed with the intention of remembering that and bringing conscious lucidity and attention to what is going on in that little world of yours. And it's such a valuable tool to personal growth, to more awareness of integrating these three: this higher soul self, your normal self, and then this very basic, no thought, pure emotion organism of yours. And so I wanted to touch on, just in closing, on the different types of dreams. All the dreams that you have are not going to be organism dreams, but a lot of them are going to be that. What I found is that I think that we also have a channel or a connection with our higher or soul self during our dreams. And I often feel, sometimes you slept soundly the whole night and you wake up tired in the morning. And sometimes I think that is sort of us working in these higher realms, taking meetings, having training, unlocking gifts and stuff that we're not consciously aware of, because it's not need to know. But so I think there's a lot of that happens, but we don't necessarily remember it. But the dreams that I seem to remember a lot are these sort of organism dreams. The other dreams that I do have, but they're very few and far between, is almost where I feel that, and they often happen in that moment, sort of while you awake in the morning, but you're sort of still drowsing. There's a place where you're very open. Your mind hasn't really started kicking in with all of its thoughts and programming and ideas and rigidity, and you're very open to receive almost like soul visitations or guidance or stuff. And so I've had a few of those where I felt that the souls of people come into my dreams and to talk to me, to give me messages. One, for instance, was my grandmother. When about 6 weeks before she passed, I was part of a soul task to help her transition and make peace with some stuff, even though it wasn't, I don't even know what happened there. I was just sort of an instrument of spirit. And then 6 weeks later, she transitioned, and she was very ready to transition. And in the last 6 weeks of her life, after that event in which I was involved in on a spiritual level, she was also different and more at peace and so on, not hanging on to her life because she was ready to transition. But when she passed, the next morning, I had a very strong dream of her, and the only thing was just her presence, and I could hear her laugh. But the presence of her was so vivid within that dream that it's almost unmistakable. So it's, there's a distinction between dreaming and somebody's a non-player character in your dream, or it's really that person's soul that is there, that's communicating with you in the dream. it has a very vivid, different flavor. And so when you have some of those dreams, I think you'll know, because they are so wild and vivid and memorable. But you don't have those every day. Most of your dreams are just this beautiful window into your little Trueman-show of your organism, to be able to see what is happening in your emotional landscape. How are you feeling about the events and stressors and triggers and growth and stuff that's happening for you in your life? And working with that actively to bring that into alignment with your normal self and with your higher soul self, I think is what we are supposed to be doing. And our dreams are such a valuable tool to be able to start integrating those properly. And so I keep a dream journal by my bedside, because you don't always remember your dreams. And if you don't sort of write them down or make a note or something, then you forget them quite easily. And so you'll see my dream journal is filled with dreams and sketches and all sorts of things, that I write and draw to be able to bring back the dream, to look at that later, and to go and see what is this dream trying to tell me about my organism's little Trueman-show, and what is happening for her in that moment, in that place, and in that space of time. The other thing that I just wanted to add is that your dreams often have symbolism in them, but it's very almost direct, very simple symbolism. And the only the only person that can actually decode your dreams are you, because you are the one that have all the pieces and you're the only one that can really put it together. So somebody else can't really interpret your dreams. In different cultures, different symbols mean different things. A snake might be a bad thing in one culture, but it might be a sign of healing in another culture. It might be a sign of transformation, shedding the skin in another. What does a snake mean for you? That is the question when you're starting to work with your dreams and the symbolism. And always, 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 the basic foundational thing of trying to figure out what a dream means is, what is the feeling? What was I feeling in the dream? When was the last time I was feeling that? Where in my life am I feeling what I'm feeling in the dream? And then starting from that basis. So I hope that helps you. I hope that you will start to understand that dreams are this rich, rich area of exploration for you to start understanding yourself and your three sort of selves later, and to start opening up that beautiful communication channel, because it is so worthwhile. It is such an amazing tool for you along your spiritual development. So if you like this, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.